今回の E3 で初めて公開するような情報とかありましたら教えてください。今回のニュース。
はい。まず、ホットな昨日お話ししたですね、ソニーのカンファレンスでお話ししたプレイステーションビータでですね、ストクロ開発が始まりました。これが一番新しいニュースですね。
The biggest, freshest news coming out of E3 as far as Street Fighter Cross Tekken is concerned. You may have noticed yesterday at Sony's press conference we announced it, but we have begun development on a PlayStation Vita version of the game. That's a big news right now.
でさらにそのプレイステーション3版とビータにはインファマスからコールが参戦することが決まりました。
Another big piece of news that came out yesterday is that Cole McGrath from the Infamous series will be joining a roster of fighters in the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita versions of the game.
That's really cool. I was able to see the press conference yesterday, and I tweeted out a bunch of pictures. If you guys want, check our Twitter and check Ono-san's Twitter too. There's a bunch of pictures from that actual announcement at the show. It was a lot of fun. So, how does Cole really play and fit in? Like, he seems a little bit different than most fighting game characters would be. Like, how would you describe it?
コールの話なんですけど、普通の格闘芸キャラクターとちょっと違うんですよね。もともと違うジャンルから来てるし、今回はどうやってですね、どういう技出したり、どういうストリートファイター出したちが、格闘芸にどうやって合わせたのでしょうか。
まず皆さんもコールほとんどよく知ってると思うんですけど、彼の基本の技っていうのは電撃の技があるんですよね。で今回インファマス2よりもいろいろな属性のものであったりとか、あと武器ですよね、物を持って歩くっていうところが出てきたので、結構格ゲーにマッチしやすい要素っていうのはすごく多くなってきたので、うまく取り込めるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
Well, as you know, Cole McGrath from Infamous, he mainly relies a lot on electrical attacks. And in Infamous 2, he's got more than that. He has a lot of different elements he can control, and he can hold weapons and things like that. So we feel that actually his fighting style and his method of brawling is actually a pretty natural match for the Street Fighter universe. We think it'll work out really nicely in a fighting game environment.
Yeah, that's really cool. So are we going to see some of those weapons as a part of it then?
ということは実際にゲーム中のコールが武器とか使えるみたいなことですかね。
今でもそれを喋っちゃうと次のコミコンとかその次のニューヨークコミコンとか言うことがなくなっちゃうので今日はビータにまず開発始まったぐらいでちょっと一応止めといてもらった方が嬉しいかなと。
Well, you know, if we spill all the beans now, we'll have nothing left to talk about at Comic-Con or anything else. So for the time being, let's put a fork in that one and let's just say that Cole's going to be in it and he'll be on the Vita as well, and more news will be forthcoming.
All right, well that sounds good. I'll be at Comic-Con doing the live stream, so I'm holding you to it.
コミコンの時にもこういうストリーミングやるから。
はい。その時はちょっと次の話を言いますんで。はい。
Well, look forward to that. We'll be willing to talk about a lot more at that point.
でもね、コミコンの時はね、もっとすごいニュースをまたコミコンの来てくれたファンに言う予定にしてるから、多分コールの話を聞くよりもそっちの方が聞きたくなると思うよと。
But there's a caveat on that, and that is one of some even bigger and more shocking announcements at Comic-Con. So you might not even want to ask about Cole at that point. It's going to be so much more stuff to talk about. So remember to talk more about Cole then. We'll answer those questions.
That's a pretty big tease. I'm expecting you to live up to it now. So, with all the new characters that we were teasing leading up to launch, like we teased, a little bit of Cammy and Sagat and some of the Tekken characters as well. Can you tell us a little bit about those characters, like that we teased leading up to the announcement here for E3?
E3 までにですね、いろんなティーザートレーラーとか出したり、キャミーとかサガとかテックのキャラクターちらっと見せたりするようなトレーラーあったんですけど、今回 E3 で新しく発表するキャラクターに関してちょっと紹介していただける。
はい、もう今回ちょっとティザーがあんまりティザーじゃなくてもうもろバレだったので、次からはちょっともっと隠そうと思ってるんだけど、もう皆さんもう分かってると思う通り、今回はですね4体のキャラクターが増えました。キャミー、サガット、鉄拳からジュリアと、ファラ、この4体が参戦決定です。
Well, first of all, we should say that the teasers, we're really teasing so much, just showing you everything. We're going to try and tone that down in the future, so it's more of an actual teaser, and you got to think a little bit to guess who we're talking about. But as you know by now, the new characters we're announcing here at E3, Cammy and Sagat from the Street Fighter side, and Haorong and Julia from the Tekken side.
Very cool. So, is there anything that we're missing out on Cross Tekken that you want to talk about? We're gonna try and sneak something out of you here.
Okay. 僕には小野さんがなんかストコロに関しての何か 発表したい情報とか話したいトピックとかありましたら。
はい、カプティベートの時はですね、鉄拳ファンの皆さんも触ってもらえるように、4ボタンの今までの覚えてたコンボとかできますよって話は言ってたと思うんですけど、さらにちょっと今回もっとやりやすくするためにですね、ストリートファイターとかカプコンのファンは覚えてるかもしれないですけど、ヴァンパイアダークソーカーにあった時にね、チェーンコンボのような、技で、鉄拳サイドでいうと10連コンボのような技で、クロスラッシュっていう技を今回搭載しました。でそれもですね、あんまり覚えなくてもいけるような弱中強強弱中強っていう形で技をつないでいくことによってすごく連続技が比較的つながりやすくなるっていうものを搭載したので、ぜひとも今回 E3 間に合わなかったいけなかったっていう人はコミコンとかでねちょっと触ってもらえればなと思ってます。
So earlier this year at Capcom's Captivate event, we talked a lot about the ease of controls and how the game allows for people to use more of a traditional Tekken-style 4-button control, as well as the the more Street Fighter-y 6-button layout. What we've done since then is we've made further adjustments to the combo systems to make it that much easier and that much more instinctive to unleash combos. So if you remember the Darkstalkers series, for example, the chain combos in those games, how easy those were to string together, we've implemented something here called... Cross rush. Okay. Sorry, it's called the cross rush system. It's a new system in the game, and what this does, it allows you to not memorize really long combos, but be able to do them very instinctively. So you can do weak, medium, hard, weak, medium, hard, and you can get some really long and cool combos going in a very instinctive sort of way. So you don't have to sit there and memorize all the facts and everything online just to do a combo. It'll flow from your fingertips very nicely.
That sounds more like my style. A little bit easier. That sounds really cool. So we've also been showing off a little bit of Street Fighter Third Strike Online. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that at all.
あとですね、今回の EC でサードストライクのオンライン版とかも話も出てるんですけど、
一応ですね、もう皆さんに昨年のコミコンで作りますよっていう時だから結構ずっと黙ってたやつなんですけど、もうやっと形として皆さん見せれるようになったので、今回サードストライクオンラインを展示してます。で、いろんなフィルターを今回搭載して、昔のクラシックからですね、ゲームセンターの操作線が入ったようなものからでもっと綺麗なものからっていうのはもちろんのこと、今回 GGPO も搭載したので、遠隔地でもですね、特にサードストライクのような遅延が気になる人たちもですね、この GGPO の力を使って、こう快適なですねオンライン環境で対戦ができるようになったと思ってます。
Yes, as you remember, at Comic-Con last year, we announced that we've begun development on Street Fighter 3 Online. We're happy to say, we kind of kept our mouths shut for a while, but we're happy to say it's in a really good shape now, really good form, and we're happy to show it off. It really is, in a lot of ways, the ultimate version of Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Some really cool features. First of all, there's all sorts of really cool filters you can put on the graphics. So you can simulate, for example, an old arcade monitor. You can have the scan lines and everything intact, so it looks exactly like it did when you used to play it. There's all sorts of options for widescreen and other filters to make it look a little more modern and a little prettier on newer TVs. So it really is up to you how the game looks. And another cool feature we're sure you're going to love is it has GGPO for the online features. This is especially important for a game like Third Strike, which is really competitive and also very much reliant on really intricate frame-by-frame timing. So you'll have a really smooth online experience. We're really confident in that and very proud of what we've been able to do.
あとさらに、ちょっとサードストライクっていうとちょっと皆さん敷居が高いなと思うとこ多いと思うんですけど、その昔取ったこう練習したような人たちも思い出してもらえるようなトレーニングであったりとか課題であったりとかっていうのも今回新しくフューチャーして入れさせてもらってるので、もう一度昔の感を取り戻してもらうっていうようなフューチャーが入ってるので、ぜひ昔やったけどもう俺はサードストライク無理だなと思う人も今回やってもらえればですね、また現役復帰ができるかもしれません。
And as we all know, Third Strike is a rather complex game. So perhaps you've spent a decade or so away from it. Maybe you're afraid to jump back into it because it is rather complicated. But we've implemented all sorts of training modes and different sort of problems you need to solve and different what do you call them, like challenges inside the game to kind of refresh your memory, teach you all the basics of the controls, all the way up into some really complex stuff. So we encourage you to not be afraid to jump into it. Yes, it's complex, but the game will hold your hand to a degree at the beginning and get you used to things before you jump in online and start kicking butt.
That sounds awesome. So I have a little bit of a curveball. Do you know much or want to talk a little bit about Street Fighter Volt for iPhone?
急に聞こけさ。
じゃあ話せるね。
I was told you, was I not supposed to?
知らないよもしまだ発表してなかったら聞 君が怒られるからねと。
You know, if it was a mistake, you're gonna get in trouble. You'll see to that.
Yeah.
皆さん iPhone 版のスト4がいつアップデートするんだって話をずっともらってたんですけども、今回メジャーアップデートになるのかな、ストリートファイターボルトっていう名前でですね、さらに新しいキャラクター、追加の要素っていうものをですね入れていって、再ローンチを、かけていきたいと思っているので、ちょっと発売の時期はまだ多分言ってないと思うんですけど、言ってた
You haven't talked about a release window, have you?
Just this summer.
夏ぐらい。
じゃあそれぐらいで、多分夏ぐらいのところの今発表したタイミングのところぐらいで皆さんに新しいストリートファイター4のバージョンアップ版をお届けできるかなと思ってます。
Well, yeah, we'll stick with that then. We'll say summer for the time being. Basically, what we're looking at with Street Fighter Volt is a lot of people have played 4 on the iPhone and enjoyed it, but we've been hearing a lot of requests for updates. They want more content and more things in the game. So we've answered that in a big way. A lot of new characters, a lot of new features. It'll be the ultimate version on the iPhone. We'll kind of re-release it as a new version of the game with a lot of cool new features. So look forward to that this summer.
That sounds really cool. The one thing that I think sort of that caught my eye as being really sort of fresh and new was that it's global online multiplayer. I mean, looking at one of the features that was really requested, it seemed like we really listened to that one.
今回ですね、前はWi-Fi にアドホックくらいのマルチプレイはできたんですけど、今回はワールドワイドの本格的なオンラインが入ってるのもみんなすごいエキサイトしているんです。やっぱりみんなリクエストしてきた要素ナンバー1だった。
どこまで頑張れるかはちょっと分かんないですけど、インフラ次第なのであんまりみんなまだボルテージ上げないでくださいと、もう少し、様子を見てからボルテージ上げていただく方がダメじゃねえかって怒られると嫌なので。
We encourage you to be patient with that, because obviously we're trying our best to make the online as good as it can possibly be, but we do have, the infrastructure is going to be the ultimate deciding factor there. So we don't want to overpromise and then have you be really sad if there's it's less than ideal speeds at some times, but it is most certainly implemented, and it should be pretty good if we play our cards right. So
awesome. Well, we have plenty of time, so what I wanted to do, if you'd like, we get some questions from the fans that you can answer.
時間がたっぷり入ってて、もしよろしければ話なんですけど、ユーザーから直接いろんな質問。
いいですよ。前回の時ちょっと少なかったから、もうちょっと今日はちょっと喋りますから。はい。どうぞ。
No problem. We got a lot more time than we usually do, so by all means answer as many questions as we can.
ダークストーカーがいつ出るんだとかそういう話はやめてください。ダークストーカーはまだ僕も作りたいけど正直まだ決まってないので。
One question we will not be answering is when's the new Darkstalkers coming. But believe me, Ono-san wants to make it.
I just think I saw it scroll by.
Nothing's been decided. Nothing new to add to that except that we want to do it.
All right, guys. So if you have questions, make sure to go to Capcom-Uni.com. Electronics Entertainment Expo. Actually, you know what? We'll do this the easy way. Go to Capcom-Unity.com if you're not there. There's a big E3 banner at the top. Click it, and it'll take you to where the chat is. And then you can ask us any questions you have for Ono-san or Street Fighter right there. And there's a bunch of people there already, so let's see what they're saying.
Got some good eyesight, Sean. I can't see that at all.
A bunch of people are actually asking about characters. Are we going to talk about any additional characters besides what we've talked about here?
For Cross?
For Cross Tekken, yeah.
今質問見てるんですけど、やっぱりキャラクターに関しての質問が多くて、多分今日は何も発表しないと思うんですけど、これから、キャラクターが増えると思うんですけど、何かの話ができるのかな、多分無理でしょうけど、
キャラクターを選ぶときって、今回やっぱり非常に苦労してるんですね。ストリートファイター4のも今回のアーケードエディション、今日ですよね、今日配信、今日配信開始なので、ぜひ皆さんいっぱいダウンロードしてほしいんですけど、もうこの段階で39体いるんですね。で大体格闘ゲームって30体から40体ぐらいが多分もう勉強できる相場だと思うんで、そうなると20体と20体しか入れられないと。じゃあストリートファイター4に入ってたのに入れないキャラクターも出てくるっていう、このストリートファイター側は削る側の苦しみで、鉄拳キャラは多分あれ560体全シリーズでいるので、どこから20体ぐらいとか30体ぐらいは30体は選べないな、15体から20体ぐらい選べたらいいかなっていう、その今不安というか難しさっていうのは今付きまとってますと。
Yeah, that's a good question. We can talk a little bit about that. Basically, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition in its current state, which, by the way, that's out today. So if you haven't already bought it, jump away from the chat real quick and download it, then come back. But right now we're looking at a total of 39 characters in Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. That's a lot. 30 to 40 is about the max that you can really reasonably memorize or get used to any degree. So if we're looking at a similar lineup for this upcoming game, that means we're looking at 15 to 20-ish on either side. So it means that the entire roster of Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition might need to be trimmed a bit, and it also looks like we're going to need to make some decisions on what Tekken characters will and will not make the cut. So it's kind of hard, and there's some nervousness, and there's a lot of thought going into that, because it's really important that we have the kind of variety we're looking for in this game.
で、あとはストリートファイター側でよく聞かれるのが、全部もう4のキャラクターでやるのかって話を出るんですね。確かにもうストリートファイター4で39体ぐらい出してるので、可能性は非常に高くなるんですけど、あえてここで今日コミュニティのみんなにヒントを言うと、ストリートファイター4で選ばれてないキャラクターを選ぼうと意図的にしていますと、これから。はい、これ最大のヒントです。
Okay, we're going to drop a huge hint. So if you are downloading Arcade Edition, stop and come back actually really quick. So basically, once again, we've got 39 characters in 4 Arcade Edition right now. So a lot of people are just kind of assuming we'll pull the Street Fighter roster from that because it's a huge roster and it makes sense. What we're doing right now, we're putting some effort into bringing back characters that didn't make the cut for 4. So you'll see some characters you haven't seen in a while, perhaps. And that's all we're going to say for now. Big hint for you.
Spoilers. So, on the characters themselves, like one of the characters that we actually see in the trailer is Jin. Is there any chance that we're going to see him playable in the game?
キャラクターといえばですね、トレーラーにはですね、ジンが出てるんですけど、プレイヤーキャラとして出るのかなとみんな。
ジン出てませんよ。ジンはカズヤが聞いてるだろうジンって言ってるだけで、ジンは出てないから出るかどうかわかんない。
Just to clarify, Kazuma does address Jin in the trailer, but technically he's not there. He's kind of talking to him in his head. So you know what? We'll see. We'll see if he's in there. That's all we're going to say on that.
So we had a question from Mario. Will Street Fighter Cross Tekken have a story mode?
ユーザーからの質問なんですけど、ちゃんとしたストーリーモードが入るかどうか。
それはないですか。モータルコンバットのようなストーリーモードを期待してるんだったら、残念ながらモータルコンバットは素晴らしい出来でした、ストーリーモードは。でもあれに勝てるようなっていうか、あれと全く同じようなものっていうのは残念ながら用意はしません。今まで通りのストリートファイターとか鉄拳シリーズのように各キャラクターとか各ペアを選んだ後にそのペアにまつわる話とかっていうのはつけていこうと思ってますけど、あんな感じのはちょっとこういうやり方があったかと思ったので、ちょっと次回の参考にしようと思ってます。
Okay, that kind of depends on what you mean by story mode. If you're talking about a full-fledged, really deep story mode like in Mortal Kombat, which by the way, they knocked that out of the park, and we're kind of jealous, we're not going to go that far with it. Unfortunately, there's not enough time to do that. We are going to use that as reference for the future, though, wink wink. But there will be some element of story in it, what you would normally expect from a Tekken or a Street Fighter game. You'll pick your character, your pair of characters, you'll see them kind of interact with one another. They have their certain motivations for fighting, etc. So there's story elements that we're accustomed to for these games, but unfortunately we're not going to go all the way up to the Mortal Kombat level, because once again, those guys did a really good job with that.
Definitely. So, I have to ask, yesterday at the Sony press conference, you had a Sony Vita with Cross Tekken. You didn't happen to sneak that back with you, did you?
昨日のプレスコンファレンスで遊んでいたビータなんかこっそりとポケットに入れて書いちゃったのかも
う同じ考え方を持ったんですけど、すっごいでっかいセキュリティの人にグッと掴まれてギャーってポケットから出されて持っていかれました。
Funny you should ask that, because I did try that, but the giant security guard came and plucked it right out of my pocket, so it didn't happen.
でもね、もし持って帰っても充電する機械を俺は持ってないから、多分今日ここに持ってきた時には電気が切れてるはずでした。
But honestly, even if I had managed to steal it, I don't have a charger. So by the time I could show you here at this event, it'd probably be out of batteries because I played it last night.
さすがに24時間はバッテリー持たないと思うから。
Yeah, it's no idea how long the battery life is, but I doubt it's 24 hours.
Right. So, actually, I have a question on Cross Tekken on the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 3. Will you be able to do anything with the save data across both versions if you own both?
多分言えるかどうかわかんないんですけど、 まあ、ビーター版とプレイステーション版両方作るってことはそのセーブデータとかシェアできるのかなと考えてるんですけど、
一応ね、僕はソニーのプレスカンファレンスで皆さんメッセージ投げたのは、新しいこうなんか連動とか PS ワードでこう楽しんでもらえるようなものを提供しますって言ったのが、まあちょっと最大のヒントであり僕らのビジョンでもあるので、なんかセーブデータとか、まあそれだけのなんか話に収まらないもっと大きなことで皆さんに驚きを出せないかなと思ってます。
はい。Okay. You know, we're not technically allowed to talk really specifically about stuff like that apparently yet, but we can tell you that we're taking very seriously the idea of you know, this kind of seamless connection between the systems and kind of enjoying a game within the PlayStation world, so to speak, as opposed to one piece of Sony hardware. And it will go beyond the sort of things like save sharing. We have some big plans for making this a really seamless experience. So that's kind of did answer it, but we're not supposed to.
Gotcha. So there's quite a few questions I'm seeing scroll by about the new Wii U, and if we'll be doing anything fighting game wise on that.
まあみんな今朝発表されたの Wii U でガチの質問いっぱい出てるんですけど、何かの格闘系 Wii U で出す予定はありますでしょうか？
今日僕会場で初めて知ったんですけど、まあ、まず1個驚いたのは鉄拳出すんだっていう話なので、じゃあちょっと鉄拳が出すんだったら違うこと考えたものの格闘ゲームとか考えた方がいいのかなと、結構こうシリアスでフィジカルな戦いのやつは鉄拳で多分カバーできると思うので、じゃあもうちょっと今までやったことないものができないかなっていうのは今は考えてるアイデアをこう練ってる段階ですね。まだ、皆さんにこれだっていうのを発表するのはもうしばらくかかるとは思います。
Okay. Yeah, so actually, no, we just found out about a lot of the details this morning, just like everybody else. So right now, there's no concrete plans, but looking at the press conference this morning, we saw Harada-san talk about a new Tekken. So, you know, we think we might need to rise to the challenge there. We think Tekken will do a really good job of covering sort of the really serious kind of very aggressive fighters on that platform. We think we might go a different direction, maybe try something entirely new. A lot going on right now up here, thinking of some different ideas, different things we could do with that platform. I don't imagine we'll be announcing anything anytime super soon, but it's definitely, the gears are turning, so to speak.
Very good to know. So we have another question from Struggler, I think. It's hard to read from here. This is a question I haven't heard really asked in a while, and I think we may know why, but is there going to be any new Street Fighter movies or any anime coming for the series anytime soon?
Let's find out. まあファンからの質問なんですけど、まあこれからストリートファイターの映画だったりアニメだったり、まあ制作する予定は今ありますでしょうか？
映画っていうと実写ですよね。
So by movie you mean like a live action kind of thing, or I guess anything?
Anything. It looks like Struggler was asking specifically what we may have in the works for the series as far as any new anime or movies.
Okay, so things outside the game world that are entertainment, visual. Okay. まあ実写でもアニメでもとにかくゲームではないストリートファイターの世界楽しめるような。
ゲームではない映像をカプコンの開発者自身がちゃんと責任を持ってプロデュースして何かやっていきたいという気持ちはあるんですけど、ストリートファイター4の時って無印とスーパーの時ってアニメ作ったんですね。でアメリカの皆さんは多分無印の時のアニメーションしか90分とか何分あったやつが見てないと思うんですけど、スーパーの時も作ったものは、まあ、残念ながら、皆さんのご期待に添えずにですね、日本のみの発売になってるので、もうちょっと皆さんが欲しいっていう声があれば、まずそのスーパーのアニメーションから、翻訳したものを公開っていうのはできるかもしれません。
Yeah, you know, we're very interested in doing stuff like that. Certainly on the R&D side, we'd like to, you know, take a bigger hand in the creation of this sort of thing and take some responsibility ourselves in making sure that it, you know, is true to the vision of these games. Pardon me for 1 second. Excuse me. And we have sort of done this kind of thing in the past. If you remember, you know, the special edition, collector's edition of Street Fighter 4 included that 90-minute movie, The Ties That Bind. There actually was an anime produced for Super Street Fighter 4 as well, but unfortunately at the time of this interview, it's a Japan-only release. That said, if people seem really interested in that and they make their voices heard, you know, we're perfectly open to translating that and potentially bringing that out because it's actually pretty cool.
That's up to you guys. You gotta ask for it. So, another question scrolled by. It was a little too fast to see who it was. I'm sorry, but I thought it was a good question. They were talking about the new YouTube feature in Third Strike Online Edition, and they were curious if we're going to see something like that soon for maybe as an update to Street Fighter or as something across Tekken. Is anything like that going to be in the works?
あとは、またファンから質問なんですけど、今ユーザーの間ですごい話題になっているのはスト3の YouTube アップロードの機能なんですけど、そういった機能を、例えば4のパッチだったりクロスに入れたりする予定はないんですかね。
今回2通りのコミュニティの作り方があるなと思ってチャレンジをしてます。一つはストリートファイター4のようにもう1台のゲームの中でリプレイチャンネルとかを使いながらもうその一つのコミュニティを形成してしまうという方法と、で今の YouTube とか、ユーストであったりとか、もっと言うと可能であればこの先やっていきたい Facebook の連動、Twitter の連動とかっていう外部の SNS との連動っていうのを入れた方がいいのかっていうのは今回3では外部の YouTube を入れて、で4では、内部のそのリプレイチャンネルっていうもので作るっていうものを入れてるので、評価が高い方を、今後のそのスタンダードにしていきたいなっていう気持ちはあります。
There's basically kind of two ways of doing stuff like this. We have the Street Fighter 4 method, the replay channel there, the idea of kind of keeping everything self-contained within the game, within your game hardware, and then we have the approach that we're using, with Third Strike, which uses kind of an outside service and enables you to share it in a more broader base, and this could in the future also include more outreach to things like Facebook and Twitter and that sort of thing. Kind of two approaches, and right now it's kind of an experimental phase. We've got both of these out there shortly, and we're going to kind of look really carefully at that and how these things work, how fans react, and from this we will determine what our standard is moving forward. We haven't made that decision yet, but we're certainly willing and open to try all sorts of different ideas.
That sounds cool. I'm looking forward to it. So we had another question that went by, again, too fast. I'm sorry, the text is really tiny this far away. With the design in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, they were curious about where you got the designs for the actual Tekken characters in this game. Was it based off of actual models or renderings that were from a Tekken game, or did you create everything new?
テッケンキャラクターに関しての質問なんですけど、カプコン側で作るときは、ナムコからモデルデータとか参考資料とかもらったのか、それとも完全にゼロから作ったのか、ちょっと聞きたい。
ナムコからもらったのは本屋で売っている鉄拳6の攻略本だけで僕らはあとはもう自分たちで鉄拳のソフトを買ってきて目で見ながらコピーをしてるっていう段階です。
Yeah, so basically all Harada and his guys at Namco provided us with was a Tekken 6 strategy guide that we could have just gone to the store and bought. We also went out and bought our own copies of the recent Tekken games and researched them. So basically...
Wait, you had to buy them?
Had to buy them. So we basically looked at that and did our best to emulate those characters in this style. But they weren't very helpful with that.
でもありがたいことにナムコのスタッフからこのジュリアよくできてるねとかこのカズヤよくできてるねって言われてるので大丈夫なのかなと思ってます。
But the good news is the Namco guys who have seen these characters in the game think we did a really good job in replicating them. So they're happy with it. That's a good thing. We're happy too.
Well, great. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to look here. That's moving a little faster on the chat.
そうもっと文字大きくすればいいのに。
Here we go. I was able to catch one as it went by. Again, I missed the name. I'm gonna get better at this by the end of E3. You'll see. So someone was asking about the inspiration for the art style that we have across Tekken. So first off, how would you describe the art style, and then what really inspired that?
Sure. またファンからの質問なんですけど、今回のストクロのアートスタイルに関しての質問なんですけど、まず小野さん的にどういうアートスタイルとして見てるのか、こういう感じで説明と何かインスピレーションだったのかも聞かせてもらいたい。
まず一番はストリートファイター4っていうのはまず基本にはなってるんですね。でストリートファイター4と今までのフォトリアルを追求した鉄拳がどう融合したら一番いいのかなと思うときに、ストリートファイター4のアートデザインをもっと色の濃く縁も濃く、日本の漫画で言うと劇画調っていうんですけど、ちょっと線の濃いものに変えていって、鉄拳画をより 近づけていくことができればナチュラルにマッチするんじゃないかなと思って出来上がったのが今皆さんが見てもらってるような映像なんですね。
Well, so basically, the concept behind the art style, we started out with Street Fighter 4 as a base, and I think you can tell by looking at that, it's based generally around that art style. But, Tekken has always been much more about photorealism and detail in their portrayals. So we were trying to find some way to kind of integrate them into this game. What we settled on was sticking with the Street Fighter 4 art style as a base and concentrating on more saturated colors, thicker lines in the drawings, and we think that matches really well with both the Street Fighter and the Tekken characters. That's kind of the genesis of the art style and how it's been implemented.
So, one of the things I'm noticing too in the trailers, and I think they meant this a little bit as well, there's a whole sort of wet water kind of element in the trailers. Is that brought into life anywhere in the game?
トレーラーではですね、水っぽい表現がいっぱい入ってるんですけど、それ最終的にゲームにもある程度反映させる。
もう入ってますよ。もうその先ほど言ったクロスラッシュであったりとかで、今回E3が取り入れたランチアタックっていうキーになる遊びのところに関しては、ああいう水の表現を入れさせてもらって、で皆さんちょっと思い出してほしいんですけど、セービングアタック、こっちで言うとフォーカスアタックのところに墨のこのエフェクトが出るような、ああいう状態でキーになる技の時には今はもうその水のようなエフェクトを出すっていうのは今もう入ってます。
Yeah, absolutely, and in fact it's already in the game. I don't know if anyone's going to be, since they can't hear us, they're probably not going to demonstrate it for us out there. But I can tell you, it's going to be implemented in these sort of new key features in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. What we mean by that are things like the cross rush, the launch attacks, these sorts of things. So if you remember with Street Fighter 4, also the ink effect showed up in the saving or the focus attack, as we call it, states, for instance. So in a similar way, these sort of unique systems in Street Fighter Cross Tekken will indeed implement that watery effect.
That's really cool. I made it bigger so we can see if it shows up at all, but we can't really talk to them. All right, let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
まあとりあえず今のクロスものはナムコさんのこの鉄拳で精一杯なので、次やりたいことはって言ったらもう僕はもうブレずにダークストーカーなので、バーサス SNK に関して言うと、まずコンタクト先を見つけてできるんであればそのダークストー
something I haven't really heard in a while. Will we ever see a new fight game based on entirely new characters?
Okay. またちょっとユニークな質問が来たんですけど、例えばみんなダークストーカーズの復活とか、SNK とかいろいろ望んでる人もいるんですけど、完全に新しい企画、完全に新しいキャラクターラインナップの格闘ゲー出すんですかね、多分。
今の状況ではまだまだ難しいと思います。格闘ゲームってやっぱりもう皆ツールなので、あんまり新しいルールとか新しいキャラクターで訴求するよりかは、僕の考えはなるべく長い間使ってもらえるキャラクターで遊んでもらいたいと思ってるので、せいぜいやるとしても昔のキャラクターを使って新しいルールで楽しむようなものの方が楽しいんじゃないのかなとは思ってます。
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good question, and I think it's actually kind of difficult to implement something like that. Certainly for Ono-san, he sees fighting games as kind of a tool, as he talks about a lot, right? So these tools are used best when you know how to use them, when you're very familiar with the characters. So, kind of our philosophy on this is to not change things up too much, not give you an entirely new rule set, not give you entirely new characters, because then you have to start from scratch, and we feel like it's more fun if you have some foreknowledge a lot of the time of the characters and the way the games play. That said, if we were to branch out and do something new, it would be more likely than something 100% new. Might be taking existing characters you might be familiar with and changing up the rules, as opposed to doing something completely new.
Interesting.
But who knows what the future holds? We'll see.
All right. So, this question keeps popping up. I think it's from the same guy, but it could be multiple. I don't know.
Okay.
If not, we're answering you. Is there any chance of Arcade Edition making its way onto the 3DS?
Question. アーケードエディションなんですけど、3DS に出るのかなと考えているユーザーがいるらしいです。
そう、すごくそれよく聞かれるんですけど、当初3DS 出した時にはその E チャンネルって、今日また任天堂のカンファレンスも発表されましたけど、ダウンロードのさせるそのインフラが整ってなかったので、もし今後チャンスがあるなれば今回インフラが整ったのでやってみたいかなと思ってるんですけど、 3DS はまた違ったタイトルを出すのもいいのかなっていう気持ちもまたあったりとかするので、ちょっと迷ってます。はい。
Yeah, actually, that's something that we get asked all the time, and it's something Ono-san is thinking about. But basically, at the time we released Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition, Nintendo didn't yet have the infrastructure up for DLC. There was no shop at the time. As you all know, the 3DS now has a shop available to download games and additional content. So it's something we could certainly consider, perhaps offering it as a DLC offering. That said, there's also the temptation to do something different new with the 3DS because it's got so much potential. So it can really go either way. Time will tell. It's certainly something we're considering. We're not blind to the fact that a lot of people are interested, that's for sure.
I'm sure they would ask for both anyway,
yeah.
So. I'm trying to think if there's another question I saw and I forgot it as it was scrolling by. I'm sorry. Here it was. This is what it was. It was from Kay, and he was asking about. We know there's going to be a Street Fighter Cross Tekken, obviously, in the Street Fighter style. But is there anything that we can talk about at all about the Tekken X Street Fighter and what it's going to be like?
ストクロがもう発表してるのみんな分かるんですけど、しばらく何個か黙っている、鉄拳クロスストリートファイターの何か進捗何か聞いてます？
多分ね、全く進んでないと思いますよ。何も見たこともないし聞いたこともないし、開発ルームから聞こえるのは鉄拳タッグトーナメントのバグチェックの声しか聞こえないので多分原田は何もやってないと思います。
Well, honestly, we haven't heard anything now. They're probably really busy with Tekken Tag. We hear a lot of news about that. So they may not have even started it yet. We'll see when Harada gets his button gear and starts working on it. We haven't seen anything.
もう彼らが出さないうちに僕らがスーパーストクロとかスーパーストクロ X とか出しちゃう可能性があるので
Yeah, by the time they're done, we'll probably have Super Street Fighter Cross Tekken Turbo or something out there.
So, actually, speaking of Super, someone had a question about Cross Tekken and if we'll see a Rivals mode like we saw in Super.
Oh, like where each person
Yeah,
has that? Sure. ストクロに関しての質問なんですけど、スト4にはそれぞれのキャラクターがライバルがいて、ちょっとしたムービーシーンとか入ったりしてたんですけど、今回のストクロにも同じようなシステムはあるんですかね？
いい質問だねこれ。僕以前ストリートファイターストクロのその全体的にどれぐらいのボリュームになるんですかって話になった時に、僕は最大のヒントをある雑誌とかで IGN とかゲームスポットで流したことあるんですけど、スト4でやったことをやらないっていうのはやりたくないと。これが今のところ皆さんに伝えられるヒントのメッセージですと。
Okay. So basically, first of all, really good question. It's once again something we can't answer, but we'll sort of answer with a really blatant hint, and that is, things we've talked about up until now with IGN and GameSpot and other media outlets. When asked about comparison between 4 and Cross, we don't want to take any features out of 4. Like we don't want to cut anything. We want to have everything you would expect from 4 and add more onto it. So there's your answer, non-answer right there.
All right. I think that's a pretty good answer. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the things we should do that we haven't really talked about yet is the time frame that we have for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Obviously, being here at E3, when it's coming out is a big question. So when can we expect Street Fighter Cross Tekken?
Sure. 最も多い質問らしいですけど、発売時期いつなんでしょうか？
なかなか難しいんだけど、今頑張って2010年のここまでは待たせない。ここまでは待たせない。もうちょっと早く出す。
Okay. Good question. I'm going to try my best to mimic the way he answered it, but it's harder to do in English because we do numbers differently. We're going to try our best to get it out by the year 20. It should be out by then.
So, all right.
But he did say it won't be long. Like, you're not going to have to wait super long.
All right. Well, that sounds good. So, we're going to poke you for the other games as well then. So, we know Arcade Edition just came out as DLC, but when is that coming out on disc again?
I'm sorry, the Arcade Edition?
Arcade Edition, yeah.
アーケードエディションの DLC が今日発売なんですけど、ディスク版はいつ出るんですか？
ディスク版はもう、発表されてて、ヨーロッパの皆さんが、6月の24日 で、アメリカの皆さんが多分28日で、日本が6月の30日。
Okay. So as you know, once again, reminder, a little advertising. The DLC is indeed out, as Sean mentioned. The disc version. So there's 3 separate release dates for the different regions. They're very close together. Europe, it looks like June 24th, June 28th here in the States, and June 30th in Japan. Most of that difference is just because games are traditionally released on certain days a week in each region, so we couldn't make it the exact same day, but we got pretty close.
もう無印っていうかスーパーをもう買ってる人は、まあ、今日のダウンロード販売で買ってもらって、でまだ持ってないけど興味があったんだよねっていう人は、まあ、ぜひ月末買ってもらえれば、1本買うと2つ入ってますからね。スーパーストリートファイター4とスーパーストリートファイター 4AE がスイッチでこう対戦とかも選べるので、買ってない人はぜひディスク版を購入してください。
Yeah, I mean, people that already have Super, we hope that you'll get the DLC. If you don't have a copy of Super for some absurd reason, it won't be long, just a few weeks before you'll be able to pick up a new disc in the store. Or you could run out right now and get one kind of cheap and buy a DLC. It's up to you.
Exactly. So, since you are the king of Street Fighter, we'll keep going with them. So when can we expect Third Strike online? We talked a little bit about that, but is there a date or a time frame for us?
そう、サードストライクのオンライン版なんですけど、もう夏とは発表してるんですけど、具体的な情報、発表できるかどうかわかんないですけど、
まあ、夏っていうのはどう捉えるかだと思うんですけど、僕の夏は半袖を着てる間は夏なので、ギリギリまで開発をさせてくださいっていうのが本音です。
Okay. Yeah, we've said summer, and it's going really well. Development's going well, but we'd love as much time as possible to polish the crap out of it. So basically, we're going to meet the summer deadline. But as far as Ono-san's concerned, summer just means you can wear short sleeves outside. So it might be a bit longer a period than you might expect. We're going to do our best to get it in your hands as soon as we can. That's for sure.
We'll change the release date to say what Ono-san calls summer.
Yes, that sounds good. Just put the logo of a guy in a T-shirt.
Yeah.
僕は寒くでも我慢して半袖着ることはありますけどね。
But be careful because Ono-san could just kind of knuckle under and wear a T-shirt in the winter and just deal with it. So
if you got pants on, it might be okay. So I think we mentioned this already, but I forgot already. What about Street Fighter Volt?
ボルトの方は発売タイミングアナウンスしました。
ボルトは夏っていうのね。はい。
Okay. Yeah. So same for Volt. Summer.
ボルトの方が多分ボルトの方がでいいじゃないか。3よりも多分早いと思う。
Chances are Volt will be out before Third Strike. Chances are.
So January then.
Very thick wool T-shirt. Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd want to talk about to the fans here?
他にはですね、小野さんがファンに対してのメッセージから言いたいことがありましたらどうぞ。
ぜひともですね、サンディエゴに近い人はコミコンに集まってください。今年もまた面白い発表とか面白いことをやりたいなと思ってるので、ファンの皆さん多ければ多いほどファンイベントは楽しくなるので、ぜひコミコンに来ていただければ、冒頭で言ったようにもっと新しい発表とかもさせてもらおうと思ってるので、ぜひともいらっしゃってください。
So you want to end with this message. Anyone who lives remotely near San Diego or can get to San Diego without breaking the bank, we really encourage you to come out to Comic-Con. There's going to be some really big surprising announcements about this game and some other stuff, and there's going to be some wacky stunts and whatnot as Ono-san and Harada-san are prone to often engage in. So if it's remotely possible for you to get to San Diego, you won't be sorry. We'd love to see you there. It won't be the same without the fans, so the more you can come, the more fun we'll have too.
I'll definitely try to capture as much of it live too when I can. That way if you live on the other side of the world or something, we'll still bring it to you.
Ustream でご覧ください。Yeah, please tune in to Ustream if you can't make it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by and talking.
もう終わりなの？
Is it time?
It's getting close.
そろそろ。
そう。もうそれ以外質問なかった。
Any other questions? Would you like one final question? Anything interesting on there?
Ono-san's asking you for more questions.
Somebody give us a good one.
Let me get up there and see. Oh, where's Cole's trailer? We haven't been able to put up Cole's trailer for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. They want it.
Yeah. なんかね、コールが入ったストロのトレーラー、なんかまだ出てないんですけど、ユーザーすごい期待してるらしいです。
そう。それじゃあちょっと頑張って、多分次のコミコンはまだ間に合わないけど、その次までには作ってみようかな。
Okay. All right, so if you guys are that interested, we'll try and whip something together. No promises on when it will be ready, but we'll have something for you.
でもその代わりそれはプレステ3の人しか見れないけどね、だから。
But you know, it's only PS3 owners need to apply, so fair warning.
This question's been popping up. Hang on. Computer's slowing down. I'm doing too much on it. Someone keeps asking about Cross Tekken on the 3DS. So we got Cross Tekken coming to the PlayStation Vita. Is there any chance that we're going to see it come to the 3DS?
ストックなんですけど、ビータ版が一応発表したんですけど、3DS もあり得るんですかね。
まあさっきのAE に 3DS なりますかっていうのとまあ同じように、まあ AE になるかどうかっていうのはさっきのダウンロードの分がまあうまくチャンスがあればやりたいっていう話言いましたけど、ストクロをも持っていくかいかないかっていうのはちょっと今はもうビータの開発に必死になってるので、そこの目処がついた段階で 3DS 版の可能性も探ってみたいし、でもっと言うと今日の任天堂のカンファレンスで Wii U とその 3DS とのその連動であったりとかそういうものの話もいろいろとこう出てたので、まあ、その辺も踏まえた新しいゲームの方が面白いんであればその地方を出すかもしれないっていうのが今思っているところです。
Yeah, you know, it's the same answer here as there would be for the earlier question on Arcade Edition. Right now, we've got our hands full working on the three versions of Street Fighter Cross Tekken that we're making. It's not something outside the realm of possibility. It's certainly something we would consider. If we have a chance, we're very curious to see the potential for the way the Wii U will interact with the 3DS and that sort of thing. When we get some more information, it's certainly something we'll consider. No hard decisions have been made yet, though.
Here's a question about the 2 vs 2 battle. So, why 2 vs 2 instead of sticking to the 1 vs 1 battle system?
Sure. ストックの質問なんですけど、2対2、2人対2人のバトルなんですけど、なぜこういうタグ式にしたのでしょうか。1対
まあ最初は、まあ、せっかくお祭りなのでお祭り的なことをしたいなっていうのがあって、で僕が一番好きな鉄拳のシリーズが鉄拳タッグ1だったんですね。で鉄拳タッグ1のような、ストリートファイターと鉄拳のゲームを作りたいっていうのを思ったのが、まあ、このタッグの始まりで、多分鉄拳タッグトーナメント2は僕がこの話を言ったから原田君がパクったなと思ってますとなんだじゃあ俺も鉄拳タッグ2作ろうと思ったに違いないと僕は思ってます。
There's 2 main reasons for that. One is that this game is kind of intended to take on kind of a festival or sort of party atmosphere. So we wanted something to get that across. A lot of characters interacting with one another, a lot of stuff going on, big bright flashes, so that the tag system works well with that. The other reason is Ono-san's personal favorite Tekken ever is Tekken Tag Tournament. And he especially liked the way the tag works. Unfortunately, he's talked about that so much publicly that he fears that Harada's announcement of Tekken Tag Tournament 2 is probably based on Ono-san's interest. So he's kind of ripping us off there. He saw us doing this.
Oh, really?
He knew it was a good idea, and now he's pulling the old switcheroo on us.
もし次のコミコンで原田君呼べたらここに呼んでそのシーンを確かめたらいいと思います。
Yeah, so if we get Harada-san to speak with us to do a presentation at Comic-Con, I'll confront him about it right there. We'll find out.
Well, maybe we can cash in on that one anyway. All right, hang on. Let me get the chat working. It looks like it stopped, but maybe this is a good time. We gotta.
Yeah, I guess that works.
It's about time for us.
I killed the chat.
はい、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys for swinging by.
Anytime.
All right, see you guys
later. Enjoy E3.
Easy operation.